Tonight, I'm not standing here as a hero. I'm standing here as a man who was waiting, holding his breath, holding his heart, holding a message that felt heavier than the world. You know that moment when you send something honest, not perfect, not rehearsed, just real. The kind of message that carries your fears, your hope, your love, all in a few fragile words. I sent her mine, and then silence. Seconds felt like hours. My heartbeat wasn't calm. It was loud, like it was reminding me, you just gave someone the power to break you. And maybe that's what love really is. Not control, not confidence, but surrender. I wasn't afraid of rejection. I was afraid of what her reply would reveal about me. Because when you love someone, truly love them, their words don't just enter your ears, they enter your soul. They rewrite your story, they challenge who you thought you were. And then her reply came. I stared at the screen like it was about to change my life. Maybe it already had. Her reply shocked me, not because it was loud, not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. And sometimes, honesty hits harder than heartbreak. That's what tonight is about. It's about that moment when love stops being a dream and becomes a mirror. When her reply doesn't just answer your question, it answers who you are. And trust me, I wasn't ready. I remember the exact second I pressed send. It wasn't dramatic. There were no violins playing in the background, no cinematic rain falling outside my window, just a quiet room, a dim light, and a man staring at his own reflection in a black screen after the message disappeared. My hands weren't shaking because I was weak. They were shaking because I was honest. And honesty is heavy when you're in love. I had rewritten that message so many times, deleted words that sounded desperate, added words that sounded brave, removed sentences that felt too intense, softened truths that felt too raw. But in the end, love doesn't need decoration. It just needs truth. So I sent her something simple, something real. I told her how she changed the rhythm of my days, how her voice could calm storms inside me that nobody else even knew existed, how I didn't want to just be someone she talked to. I wanted to be someone she chose. And then I waited. Waiting in love is different from waiting for anything else. When you're waiting for a bus, a call, a job offer, your mind calculates. But when you're waiting for the person you love to respond, your heart calculates. Every second stretches. Every vibration of your phone feels like destiny knocking. I stared at that screen like it owed me answers. I told myself to stay calm. Whatever she says, I whispered in that quiet room, be strong enough to accept it. But strength sounds easy in theory. In practice, it feels like standing unarmed in front of something that can either heal you or break you. I replayed our conversations in my head, the way she laughed at things that weren't even that funny, the way her silence sometimes spoke louder than her words, the softness in her tone when she said my name. I wondered if I had imagined it. Love does that. It makes you question what's real and what's hope. My phone lit up. Her name on my screen didn't just glow, it burned. For a second, I couldn't breathe, not because I was afraid of rejection, but because I knew that whatever was written in that message was about to shift something inside me. I opened it. Her reply shocked me. Not because she rejected me, not because she accepted me, but because she saw me. She didn't respond with a simple, I feel the same. She didn't respond with distance either. She responded with truth. She told me she had been scared too, scared of how much I meant to her, scared of how quickly I had become part of her thoughts, scared of losing herself in something that felt this intense. She said she didn't expect me to speak first. She said my message made her heart race in a way she had been trying to ignore. I read her words once, then again, then again. You see, when you love someone, you expect extreme outcomes. You prepare for heartbreak or fairy tales, but you don't prepare for vulnerability meeting vulnerability. You don't prepare for someone admitting that they've been fighting the same feelings you have. Her reply didn't scream passion, it whispered honesty, and that whisper shook me more than any dramatic confession ever could. I realized something in that moment. Love isn't about who falls first, it's about who dares to stand without armor. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't the only one standing there exposed. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when someone mirrors your emotions. It doesn't feel explosive, it feels grounding, like the world suddenly makes sense, like the chaos in your chest finally finds rhythm. But her reply also carried caution. She told me she had been hurt before. She told me she didn't want to rush something that could be beautiful. And I respected that. Because love that demands speed often lacks depth. Her reply shocked me because it wasn't built on fantasy. It was built on awareness. She didn't promise forever. She didn't swear eternal devotion. She promised honesty. She promised effort. She promised to try. And that's when I understood something powerful. Sometimes the most romantic words aren't, I'll love you forever. Sometimes they're, I'm willing to build this with you. Explode. It's settled. I had expected fireworks. Instead, I felt gravity. I felt something solid forming beneath us, something that wasn't based on excitement alone, but on mutual recognition. Love, real love, doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it walks into your life quietly and says, I see you. And if you're paying attention, that's enough to change everything. I thought I would feel victorious. I thought I would feel relieved. Instead, I felt responsible. Responsible for protecting what we were beginning. Responsible for honoring the vulnerability she gave me in that message. Her reply shocked me because it made me realize that love is not about winning someone, it's about deserving them. In that moment, I stopped thinking about how I felt. I started thinking about how I could show up better, how I could be steady instead of intense, how I could be patient instead of impulsive. Because when someone opens their heart carefully, you don't rush in recklessly. You step forward gently. I typed a response, and this time I didn't overthink it. I thanked her for her honesty. I told her I wasn't in a hurry. I told her I wanted something real, not something rushed. I told her I respected her fears because I had them too. Love became less about confession and more about understanding. And maybe that's why her reply shook me the way it did. It forced me to mature in real time. It forced me to choose depth over drama. There's something incredibly intimate about knowing that someone else is afraid of losing you before they've even fully had you. That kind of fear isn't weakness. It's value. Her reply shocked me because it wasn't the end of uncertainty. It was the beginning of something fragile. And fragile things require care. I used to think love was about intensity, about grand gestures and unstoppable emotion. But that night taught me that love is also about restraint, about knowing when to speak and when to listen, about giving space without creating distance. I realized that I wasn't just in love with her smile or her voice. I was in love with her courage to admit she felt something too. We often talk about heartbreak as something painful, but we rarely talk about the vulnerability of mutual feeling. It's terrifying to know someone can affect you deeply. It's even more terrifying to admit it. Her reply shocked me because it was brave, and in that bravery, I found my own. I didn't fall asleep quickly that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying her words, not obsessively, but reflectively. I felt grateful, not because she promised me a relationship, but because she trusted me with her truth. And trust is the most romantic gift anyone can give you. Love from a man's perspective is often misunderstood. People think we're either distant or overly possessive. But the truth is, when a man loves deeply, he becomes protective of emotions he can't even explain. He becomes quiet because he's processing. He becomes intense because he's afraid of losing something rare. Her reply shocked me because it made me softer. It made me realize that strength and love isn't about dominance, it's about steadiness. I didn't need her to declare forever. I needed her to walk with me today. And that's what she offered. And sometimes, today is more powerful than forever. Her reply shocked me because it wasn't loud, it was real. It didn't sweep me off my feet, it planted them firmly on the ground. Love isn't about being overwhelmed, it's about being aligned. That message on my screen didn't just answer my confession, it redefined how I see love. It showed me that the most beautiful relationships don't begin with fireworks. They begin with two people choosing honesty over fear. And in that quiet room, with nothing but a dim light and a glowing screen, I realized something simple. When you speak your truth and love, you're not just waiting for a reply, you're waiting to see if someone is brave enough to meet you there. Her message stayed with me long after the screen went dark. It wasn't just words, it was a mirror. I used to think love was about intensity, about how fast your heart beats when her name appears on your phone, about the sleepless nights, the long paragraphs, the overwhelming emotion that makes you feel alive and terrified at the same time. I thought love had to be dramatic to be real, but her honesty changed that. She didn't overwhelm me with poetry, she didn't drown me in promises, she didn't try to sound perfect. She sounded human. She told me she was scared. She told me she felt deeply but didn't want to rush into something just because it felt powerful. She admitted she had walls, not because she didn't care, but because she cared too much to let something fragile break. And that shifted something inside me. For the first time, I realized love isn't proven by intensity. It's proven by intention. There's a quiet strength in someone who says, I feel this too, but I want to protect it. That kind of honesty doesn't come from games, it comes from experience. It comes from wounds that healed slowly. It comes from lessons learned the hard way. Her reply shocked me because it wasn't just emotional, it was wise. I started thinking about all the times I confused passion with permanence. All the times I believed that if something felt strong, it had to be right. But strong feelings can fade. Strong foundations don't. She wasn't offering me fireworks. She was offering me stability. And I realized I had been preparing for the wrong outcome. I was ready to celebrate or to grieve. I wasn't ready to grow. Her honesty forced growth. It made me look at myself differently. Why did I want things to move fast? Why did I equate reassurance with speed? Why did I think love needed immediate clarity to survive? Maybe I was afraid. Maybe deep down, I believed that if something didn't happen quickly, it wouldn't happen at all. Maybe I was afraid that patience meant losing momentum, but she showed me that patience can also mean building momentum, slowly, intentionally, with care. Love isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And for the first time, I stopped trying to control the tempo. Her reply shocked me because it made me soften my grip. I didn't need to define us immediately. I didn't need to secure a label. I needed to be present. There's something powerful about a woman who communicates boundaries without building distance. She didn't push me away, she invited me to move with her pace. And that invitation felt more intimate than any dramatic declaration ever could. I began to understand that love isn't about claiming someone, it's about choosing someone, over and over again, with awareness. Her honesty also exposed something else inside me. I had always prided myself on being strong in relationships, on being steady, on being the one who doesn't overreact. But when I confessed my feelings, I realized how vulnerable I actually was. And when she responded with her own vulnerable, it made me respect her in a deeper way. Because vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage without armor. She could have played it safe. She could have given me a vague response. She could have kept me guessing, but she chose clarity, and clarity is love's purest language. Her reply shocked me because it removed the fantasy and replaced it with reality. And reality felt better. I stopped imagining perfect scenarios. I stopped chasing emotional highs. I started valuing emotional safety. Safety in love is underrated. People chase excitement, but excitement without safety creates anxiety, and anxiety is not romance. She made me feel calm, and calmness in love is rare. There's a kind of peace that comes when you don't have to decode someone's words, when you don't have to analyze every pause, when you don't have to question where you stand. Her honesty gave me direction without pressure, and I realized something important. Love isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. Anyone can send passionate messages at midnight. Not everyone can communicate clearly at noon. Not everyone can admit fear. Not everyone can say, I want this, but I want it done right. Her reply shocked me because it raised my standard. It made me want to love better, to communicate better, to listen better. I began paying attention to the small things, the way she phrased her thoughts carefully, the way she asked about my day with genuine curiosity, the way she didn't rush emotional intimacy but didn't avoid it either. I realized that love isn't proven in grand moments. It's proven in small, repeated choices. I used to think the most romantic thing someone could say was, I can't live without you. But now I understand that's dependency, not love. The most romantic thing someone can say is, I choose you freely. An intentional love is powerful. I also understood something about myself. I didn't want to just be loved. I wanted to be understood. And she understood me. She didn't respond to the surface of my confession. She responded to the depth behind it. That kind of response doesn't happen by accident. It happens when someone has been paying attention. Her reply shocked me because it revealed how much she had been observing me too. The small details I thought went unnoticed. The subtle ways I showed care. The moments I thought were insignificant. She saw them, and being seen is one of the deepest forms of love. We live in a world where attention is temporary. People scroll past emotions. The ye skim through confessions, they reply with shortcuts. But she didn't. She took her time, and that time meant everything. Her honesty transformed the way I understood love, because it showed me that love is not about possession. It's about partnership.